Very welcome. Over the last number of months and further beyond, you've been working to bring TUS to the point where it's now a technological university, merging with other regions. What's been the most exciting process and where have the challenges been?
Yeah, we just celebrated 2 years there on the 1st of October last. So it's been an incredible journey. Mergers are always difficult, and if anybody says to you otherwise, then they're not. They haven't really done them. And this is my second merger. Obviously, the Shannon Development, Shannon Airport was a different aspect and had its own issues, and maybe some of them are still there. But certainly in relation to bringing together Limerick Institute of Technology and Athlone Institute of Technology, I think we had a vision for this from early on about what this could be, and it was to get to scale. Scale is important in education, unfortunately, for better or worse. You need to have the numbers, both students and staff. We were the first cross-regional one, so we're bringing the Midlands and the Midwest together. And I see a powerful pact that will emerge in that space. The Midlands currently looks very much to the east. I think their future is looking to the west and particularly down into the southwest. And we can create some sort of very large region outside of the confines of Dublin. And if we had more decision-making power in that region, we could do great things together.
When you look at balanced regional development, there's a lot of talk about that at the moment in terms of the big macro stuff. But when you're looking at education as well, having resources like that dotted around a region helps to drive that on also.
Look, the most exciting thing of this is that we created university towns in Clonmel, in Thurles, in Ennis, and Athlone. And Limerick now has 2 universities, and it was actually the president of Verizon yesterday spoke about the university system in Limerick, in the Midwest, and having 2 universities. So Limerick stepped up a gear in terms of people paying attention to it. So if you have 1 university, yeah, that's good, but if you have 2 and they're complementary and they work together, and you have a system within that, then that is really, really important. I think we're starting already to see the benefits of that. It's been noted by the IDA and it's been noted now by Verizon, which is an incredible attraction. So you asked about the challenges. Well, the opportunity is there, and we're starting to realise that opportunity. But bringing people together through a change management process, and everybody says, I welcome change, but they never see change in themselves. Everybody else has to change. And it's making sure that I've had to change, all the senior managers had to change, the whole system has to change. So you're integrating, you're creating best practice, you're trying to get a single type of entity, and culture is your big issue. So, when we merged with the Tipperary Institute a number of years ago, you had 2 distinct cultures, and we had to create an LIT culture through that. Now you've got Athlone Institute of Technology with a different culture. So culture, as they say, eats strategy for breakfast, and that's certainly true. But we have made great strides trying to operate as a single combined entity with the same set of regulations, the same set of processes, a single strategic plan. We launched our new strategic plan back in February of this year. Jeepers, it seems a while ago already. And we have really ambitious targets embedded in that for ourselves. So I think the great thing is the opportunity to make a difference, and the challenges are to make sure that when I look around, all those people are still behind me. All those people are still wanting to go in the direction that we're moving in, and that's the challenges of leadership.
The nature of TUS and its location here in the Moylish campus, we've seen it grow year after many, many years of its presence. It's always has a presence here in this side of town. But it's also located right in the middle, strategically right in the middle of what we would consider a regeneration community. Now, regeneration per se coming to an end this year, funding hopefully will be still available. How much of a role do you see TUS playing in helping to regenerate an area?
Yeah, I tend to think of City North rather than regeneration and Cahardavin and bits and pieces. What we have on the north side of the city is we have to have an integrated activity, an integrated community, and the regeneration has been critically important, as we move further forward. So we've been heavily involved with Regeneration, with the council, with the Regeneration staff. And education is at the fore of that, but we go way beyond that in terms of offering sports facilities and integration of refugees and all this sort of thing is an ongoing process here in TUS. But if you think, and I would be very clear in this, I've mentioned to a number of ministers of education and further and higher education, you look out my window here and I see Moyross. I look to that side and I sit and I look at Moyross. And I look out this window over here and I see Cahardavin. And if you strain your eyes, you might see the North Circular Road. So you have very different communities. But we have to, the future is a much more integrated community where, you know, if there is issues between these communities, then we have to address them. The Regeneration has been a huge success in a number of ways, and it has had significant drawbacks in other ways. What you have now in Moyross is a very integrated education system. So we work with Corpus Christi School. We work with them from early childcare, primary school, and then we move with those kids to make sure they progress from primary school into secondary school. We work with the parents to make sure that they transition as well. We work all the way through with Thomond Community College to make sure those kids, I'm going to call them, like, you know, for want of a better word, can have an aspiration, to complete their second education and then to move into third level. So we meet with them, we bring them on campus here, we have engineering days, we have other days. The Corpus Christi school plays are held in the Millennium Theatre here. So I never want them to say, that's for somebody else. You know, I walk past the TUS Moylish every day. It's a big, lovely big red building, but it's not for me and I wouldn't dare go onto that day. This is for you. This is your university. We had a very interesting aside recently when, I won't say, but a teacher in Thomond Community College said to me, Vincent, we are so happy for you in TUS. It's fantastic that you've got this university status now. It's just a pity you won't want to have anything to do with us now that you are a university. And that would be, I mean, I was taken aback. I have to say I was taken aback by that. Because that would be, if that was the case, we would never have become a university. So we have a heritage in access. We have a heritage in work with disadvantaged people. And we have a heritage in working with the most advantageous people. We bring everybody together here. And what we've had seen over the last number of years is more and more students from Moyross and from Thomond Community College coming into Moylish here and coming through and going back into their communities as leaders, as people who have achieved. That's how you change communities. Of course I'm going to say education is a central part of it. Of course I am. Not because it's just that's the job I do. It's because it's the truth. You change lives by education. You educate people to come through. And once they achieve that standard of education, worlds open up for them. Whole new worlds that were denied to them are suddenly available to you. And that's something that we're very, very proud of here. So we have a lot of first generation people coming through. And the greatest days here are graduation. Graduation. When you see that culmination of, I've done it. You know, I came in and, you know, and I say to people, like, you know, because it can be daunting to think that you 4 years of structure. But we run the National Qualifications Framework, so we can do 2 years programs, 3 years programs, 4 years programs, 5 years in PhDs. We do everything. And apprentices. And that's growing. But I say to the first year student, I says, give me 2 years of your life. All I'm asking for you is 2 years. It's not even 2 years, 2 academic years, year and a half. Give me a year and a half of your life. And if you do well, I will change your life forever. I will give you a certificate that will be recognized wherever you go in the world. You'll be considered a professional. And you can go anywhere in the world with that. And that will change your life. Stay another year with me, I'll give you another certificate. Stay another year, I'll give you another certificate. I have an infinite supply of certificates in my office. That's the power of education. But it's also the power of taking things in bite sizes. That's what we do through the NFQ, National Framework for Qualifications, is that we can stepwise take you. So that you're not saying, oh, I couldn't do that, I've never done that. You know, but you can, and you can do it, and you can build, and you can grow, and you can come out. So We're very close to the Moyross community. Tiernan O'Neill, who was on the social side of things with Regeneration the last couple of years, worked very closely with him. We've worked very closely with the economic side of things as well, bringing industry to that, training people. Our access to apprenticeship program has opened up new opportunities for people who have fallen through the education system, who don't have a formal qualification, but they can come into our access to apprenticeship program, and they do a 15-week studies, and then they can pick and choose apprenticeship, and we have industry lined up to take those people on.
There's a very Jesuitical mindset in terms of, giving me the boy of 7 and I'll give you the man of 12. But do you get a kick out of knowing that you are creating young minds who, whatever they do in life, will leave with the thoughts of their own and a mindset of their own and the power to do things?
If they don't leave here with that, then we failed. I'm not never was accused of Jesuitical before, but I see where you're coming from. I'm certainly passionate about this. It's not our job to fill them with facts. The hard science stuff. Of course we're going to do that. But if we haven't concurrently filled them with an inquiring mind, an analytical mind, who challenge orthodoxy, ask questions about that, in an era of misinformation, they've got to be able to not only know those hard facts. I guarantee you we'll give you the hard facts, but we will also give you an avenue and an opportunity to explore other aspects of that, the questioning part. That's hugely important. And then there's the soft skills. The soft skills, which, in terms of communication, working together in groups, the things that are talked about in the modern that industry wants. They know, they trust us that they're going to have the hard facts.
One of the key issues when you were developing the strategy last year, and one of the key messages you drove forward, was the whole issue around student accommodation and that lack thereof. Where's the delivery of that falling down, and where do you think, what needs to be addressed?
My thoughts are that it's a huge blockage to the development of the institution. The one thing we do have here in TUS and across all our campuses is land. We have the availability. So we have state-owned land, and I'm the custodian of that state-owned land. And we've opened it up to other groups in Thurles and Clonmel. We've got a wonderful new state-of-the-art sports centre in Clonmel, and we gave over part of our land for that. But I have retained land for student accommodation. Look, we have an accommodation crisis. Everybody knows that. But if you can take the students out of the local communities and leave that for young professionals, young families in those particularly three-bedroom houses that tend to populate around our campuses, you're doing a service. You're solving wider. It's not just student accommodation, but other forms of accommodation. And certainly it's something we would like to see. We need a borrowing capacity, so we are denied a borrowing capacity at the moment.
And what does that mean? Because I heard you speak about that. I mean, when they know that there is land, and when they know that you have the ability to potentially, well, certainly pay it back and probably develop yourselves, why not just say, there you go?
Yeah, well, it's a question you better ask of our politicians per se, because I keep being promised the framework in which to do this, or the sanction in which to do this, but I don't have the piece of paper that says that. I'd like to be working with the private sector as well. The private sector can provide student accommodation in localities close to here. We have one at Hassas Cross, just down here, ready to go, full plan permission. But they would like to do a deal with us that says, look, could TUS guarantees half of these beds? I'd be more than happy to do that. I have a growing population of students. I have a large and increasing international student population. Yes, and even if I have to do that for 25 years, there's no risk here. But I can't do that as yet. So there are various aspects of that. There's the low-hanging fruit type of thing, which I think is working with the private sector. Then there's the larger borrowing capacity that's needed for that. But we've been working with a number of people. The access to money is not the issue. Access to the providers, the builders, is not the issue. I just need something that tells me I can borrow the money. And I'll get very good rates on that borrowing. I'll do deals with the private sector as necessary. We can do a variety of things within an umbrella of the borrowing capacity. But at the moment, that's denied to me.
You've been a real advocate for the Northern Distributor Road, and it's something that people are divided on. And we do have other means of transport as well. The issues around rail, we've got public transport networks within the city by bus, and cycle bikes that are outside here and maybe not being used as much. What do you think the issue is around transport, and where can we really get it right?
Yeah, I think this is a critical aspect, because and you put your finger on it. Like, I mean, in isolation, it's very easy to say, we could do without that road in isolation. But what we actually need is a very large, and this is one of the things that you'd hope for a directly elected mayor would have some control over transport in an integrated way. My concerns on the Northern Distributor Road, and I keep calling it the knowledge corridor, because we will be in Cunnan in January. Finally, after, well, that's a different story. We will be taking possession of a finished Cunnan article, and I'll be moving 600 odd students into there over the course of the next year. So you have Cunnan and the Technology University of Shannon at one end, and at the other end you've got the University of Limerick and the National Technology Park. And we need to connect those two. And it's not through the city centre. This idea of bringing more traffic through the city centre, we need to take cars and trucks out of the city centre. So I firmly believe that even in the National Development Plan, like, Limerick's supposed to go from 100,000 to 150,000. And I asked the question, where are they going to go? I would like to see a large percentage of those go to the city centre. I would like to see us develop a real city centre population. It will be young people, possibly some older people as well, but it will be young people, young professionals, living and working in the confines of that, like Verizon. That the vision of that would be that. But there's also we are a region, very innovative region, but we are a manufacturing region. So in the Midwest region, we have a large percentage, the highest percentage in the country, devoted to manufacturing. Now, we manufacture goods, and we don't sell them locally. We export those goods. So this idea about roads is it's a bit the argument's been limited to moving people around. I don't see that. People are a small part of what we move around. It's actually the roads that will accommodate the trucks, and be they hydrogen fueled or whatever. We have to move the finished product, the finished goods, out of this region to other regions, but more importantly, out to export. We are an exporting manufacturing region. We don't have a circular route around Limerick. It annoys me to think that people talk about the tunnel. They talk about the tunnel today, as if we're not going to grow to the 150,000. We're not going to grow the FDI again. And so everything is in, today, it'll be terrible for the tunnel. No, it won't be. The tunnel will be transporting very large wind turbines through the tunnel. That's what we'll be taking. So the tunnel the numbers will grow, and the issues around the tunnel, the numbers going through the tunnel will increase. But we need a circular route around it. We need to open up land. There's no development land on the north side of the city. There is no industrial estate on the far side, on the side of the city. The IDA is looking for land. We don't have it in the Limerick, in the Limerick side of things. So are we now seeing that Limerick is done? If you ask Verizon, they would say you're only at the start of it. You have huge benefits to universities. We're going to attract more investment. That is a given. What are we going to do with it? Where are we going to put those factories? Where are we going to put the services? Where are we going to put the people who are coming back married with a couple of children? They're not going to want to live in the city centre because we don't have the services, the schools, etc. for that. They want to live close to the city centre with that. So we have to open up land. We have to think that this is a city that could grow to 200,000 rather quickly and much more than we are anticipating currently. We're not forward planning for that expansion. We are not forward planning for the industry that will come on the back of that as well. I see the transformation of Moy-Ross that will happen through the Cunnan to Knocklashin Road and the opening up of that, the possibility of a hospital, the possibility of student accommodation. But the integration we started talking about starts to happen more and more.
There'll be people who talk about rail as well. We haven't mentioned it. And rail is something that there's cynicism in Limerick because it's been spoken of for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a workable scenario that we could actually start to see people commuting by rail within a metropolitan rail network?
Wouldn't it be fantastic? And wouldn't it be that if you had in Moy-Ross, that you extended it out another little bit, into just beyond the Northern Distributor, to take in the Northern Distributor, to take in the factories that are going to be there, to take in the new housing, a new village type structure that would happen along the edges of the Northern Distributor Road, and that you had a rail network there that would take you not just into the city centre but beyond, a light rail system. Of course we need that. I think the cynicism is because it's been talked about for a long time. I would love to have rail in Moy-Ross, but it seems to be a black and white issue. The luxury of black and white decisions are something that's denied to me on a daily basis. I deal in the grey. Some days it's dark grey, some days it's light grey. But the idea of a black and white decision is that it's not given to us. And we have aligned ourselves to a black and white decision in this issue. We need rail, and we need the Northern Distributor Road / Knowledge Corridor, because our expansion plans are not going to be serviced by bringing people from Moy-Ross into the city centre. It will be fantastic, brilliant, but it isn't the solution to our industrial needs, to our expansion needs, to our ability. And it's not the road itself is the issue, it's what you have on those roads. Electric vehicles. I'm just back from China. They have a 38% penetration of electric vehicles. And you know that because they have green license plates. And they're whizzing past you all the time. And you say, oh yeah, there's another. Imagine it's the cars will be electric vehicles. There'll be bicycles and walkways all along the edges of that knowledge corridor. And the trucks will be, in the future, will be driven by hydrogen economy. Hydrogen that's generated off the coast of Foynes off offshore wind. We can create the most virtuous cycle of using the gold mine of free wind that we produce, then turn into electricity, brings it into Money Point. We use all of that energy in our system. We create hydrogen and ammonia. The hydrogen becomes a liquid, a fuel for our heavy goods vehicles, and we're all producing this locally. Think of how sustainable this would be. And but we also have to be manufacturing those wind turbines and not importing them. And we create, the Shannon Estuary Task Force talks about 50,000 jobs. I would see that as conservative.
And obviously we have an opportunity here now with leadership in terms of a directly elected mayor. First time next year we'll be electing someone. What are your thoughts around that?
Again, it's a huge opportunity, but I have a great fear. I really do. I think there's too much talk at the moment in Limerick about who's going to be the directly elected mayor, and not about what they're going to do, or more importantly, what they're going to be able to do. So we have no history in this country of decentralisation of power. We're still operating to a British system, essentially. Everything is in Dublin. All decision making is in Dublin. That has to change. Dublin is not the future of this country. The regions are the future of this country. But they will need to be able to have a certain amount of control within those regions and decision making in an integrated region. So basically what we operate here in the Midwest is a city-region model. Limerick is the centre of that. It is the city. But the region around that depends on that city. Tipperary, Clare, Kerry, they all need Limerick to be successful. And that's a legacy, and I'll say it clearly, of Shannon development, because the Tipperary, North Tipperary as it was at the time, Limerick, Clare, and North Kerry, in a sense, we learned how to work with each other. The councils learned how to work with each other. And, the managers in Clare and Tipperary understand that for them to be successful, then Limerick has to be successful. So we will have people from Nina and Roscrea commuting in along a motorway, using electric vehicles, and going back out again. And they're spending their money in that locality. So we have a city region, but we don't, and we have ports, airports, universities, all you need for a successful region. But we don't have the control of the decision making. So my fear for that, the Department of Environment, the Department of Transport, the Department of Education, they must transfer some powers to the directly elected mayor. And they're talking a great game. And they're saying, oh yeah. There should be no directly elected mayor until all those powers are transferred and they come into being on the day of the election. Because if it says, oh yeah, we're going to do that, get the election out of the way and then we'll transfer those powers, it should come to an absolute shuddering stop. It will never happen. They will never transfer power if the directly elected mayor is in place. So we need to be really driving not who, but the what and how. And until that power is transferred, we will have a directly elected mayor who won't be able to do anything.
Are they politically fearful that some entity or some body would be elected by the people of Limerick who they just don't simply want? And that there could be fears of, give out that power at the beginning, let's just see how it goes first, because there's no point in doing it for fear that we elect a lunatic.
Well, you see, I think you attract a different sort of person if you, and the evidence is there in the UK and other places, that if you have the power, you will attract people, that are used to utilising such powers. People who, because the exercise of power is there are limitations to that, and there has to be checks and balances. I accept that, but to achieve this integrated vision for the city region, and that's stop calling it even Limerick, for this city region, because this is the most important thing that's going to happen. If the directly elected mayor goes ahead, because what I fear is we'll get a directly elected mayor and it will die on the vine because they won't have the power to develop a vision, to develop an integrated approach, to drive the integrated approach that will deliver a sustainable model for a city region that has huge opportunities. I believe there's no other place in Ireland that can match the opportunities of the Midwest and the wider West Coast region. But it'll be centred on this because we are going to be the centre of the offshore floating wind industry in this country.
Now, leadership, directly elected mayor and floating offshore. What we're seeing, and I'm getting a sense at the moment in relation to offshore wind, is that the potential is there. The people have come together. There's great brains working behind the scenes to say the potential here of creating thousands upon thousands of jobs and a wealth generation, but also from a sustainability perspective, it's a no-brainer. Why is there now a sense in the region that it just isn't happening fast enough? And why are we not doing the Ardna Crusher thing, which was to make it happen now?
Yeah. Ardna Crusher was the greatest transformation project in the history of Ireland to date, because the second one's coming along, and it is the offshore floating wind. And the Shannon Estuary Task Force have done us a huge favour by pointing this out. And but again, not like the directly elected mayor, the power is still vested in Dublin, and the regions always suffer. So, I said recently at the Limerick Chamber Awards speech that it's critical that we get decision-making power. If the offshore opportunity was in Dublin, it would be happening. I have to say, if the offshore opportunity was in Cork as well, it may be happening. Politically, we have to question, a senior minister has been missing since Michael Noonan. So some of these are political decisions, some of them are vested in the civil service, but none of them have an orientation towards the regions. Add to that. So we need certain things to happen, mapping of some of the underwater side of things, location of the best sites. These things can go and happen very, very quickly, but they're not. They're not. We need to be preparing. People will say, offshore isn't quite ready yet. Well, the technology actually is there, but we have a huge amount of work to do to prepare for that. Foynes needs huge investment. Moneypoint needs continued investment. The west of the county now is starting to, really suffer. Wyeth's is an issue. Moneypoint could close if we don't start that, get more flywheels and stuff into Moneypoint to deal with this, the potential of that offshore facility. So we have years of preparatory work to do, as well as make sure that we benefit from that, and we could be making these things as well, I think, is another thing. So look, it's I just fear that it's not been given the impetus that it needs, and we have to, as a region, we have to keep pushing to get this started, because this is a national project. This is a project of national scale. It's a project of international scale. This is, when we were spending, when the visionaries who came up with the Shannon scheme did that, and they took whatever it was, a huge percentage of our GDP, and put it in to creating Ardna Crusher. Like, that's what we need now. That's the sort of vision that we need now. But we have the wind, we have the technology, we have the opportunity, and we have the money. We have the money. But we're not bringing it all together.
Final question. You are providing us, thankfully, with brains of the future, with people who are going to make a difference in this world. What excites you about their future in Limerick today? And what are your top 3 things that you think we need to just keep driving forward with in order to make their lives good ones into the future?
Yeah, it's a privileged position to be in, and I think we've now have the recent graduate survey pointed out that the Technology of the Shannon has the most employable students in the country. So 86.9% of our graduates go directly into employment, and significant. At least half of them are staying in the Midwest, and a third in Limerick itself. Just like, so we're driving the engine. When Verizon says we're happy with that, that's because they're hiring our graduates. They're hiring people who've been here a while and graduated from here. So the opportunity. So what we see is we as a technology university, we marry theory and practice, and that practice brings in the skills component. And everybody talks about skill, but if you're a mechanical engineer, our engineers can make things. They can do things. They can work lathes. So we have theory and practice, and we bring that together. It's a really potent combination that is now finding ever increasing outlets in industry. So when ours is the highest employability, it's not because suddenly we did this. It's because of the skills, the work readiness of the graduates. So we will continue to do that. We will continue to produce people who are ready to hit the ground running. And that's critically important as a technological university that we do that. We're adaptable, so we're working with industry. So we'll be working with Verizon and say, do you need a specialist program here? Do you need continuous professional development of your staff? We will be providing that. So it's not a case of, you take our graduates. They're taking our graduates, they're working with us on research, they're developing programs, they're sitting on our industry boards, they're driving us saying, no, you need to drop that, you need to do this. So we will continue to produce people that are fit for purpose, not just for today, but for the future. And that, and they will find, I love this virtuous cycle type of thing, but they will find employment in Limerick and the region. And they will then marry, hopefully, find partners, whatever it may be, and they will want a life, a family life. And they will maybe in their early Verizon graduates will live in the city, and then that virtuous cycle will ensure that they meet somebody, they marry, they have children, but they may want to move slightly outside of the city into the suburbs, but they may come back in as a retired. But the virtuous cycle is they will have their children, and they will go through the education system, and they may go to Corpus Christi and Toma Community College and into TUS as a next generation. And they will find jobs in the city. So we will create this virtuous cycle in the most sustainable region, possibly in the world, because of our opportunity with there. So the future for this city is to me is incredible. But I don't see the vision for this possibility. And and then the blockers. And I really think that. You've got to, in an integrated way, you cannot ignore things like the Northern Distributor Road, the Knowledge Corridor. We need that integrated system, but we will do it in a sustainable way. So I think the future is exceptionally bright if certain things happen. And that is that we start now developing and ensuring that the offshore floating platforms can be built, that the technology is there, that Foynes is ready, that Moneypoint is ready, that we are ready. That Limerick as the centre point of the city for that is ready with a circular route. That we have a city centre of value, a city centre where young professionals live and work and play in that area. Where the rail network does, and we have a light and rail network bringing people into the city centre because we need more Verizons. We have another fantastic office blocks coming in. They will be filled. If we can develop the city centre and give it that. So Limerick is well known for innovation, all down through the decades. We have the tenets of the most sustainable region, possibly in the world, ready to go. We have the technologies and we have the graduates. We have the education system that can provide everything that we need. Now, a directly elected mayor to lead all that and get us to that because the power has been devolved to it. And I would say, then give us the things we need, the roads, the rails, the direct elected mayor with power, and get out of our way.
Dr. Vincent Cunnan, thank you so much for doing that.